It's actually a pretty famous one. It's a little bit. That one's actually pretty good, but it does. He does fight him. Did you see that? What was that one called? Pyramids of Mars. Yeah, it's a mummy from Mars, basically, and he fights it.
Where do you find these old episodes? Netflix.
There's some on Netflix.
There's on the internet too.
Yeah, YouTube has a good amount. Yeah, he has a bunch of them.
I have the entirety of the Colin Baker run.
Nice. Is he the fourth?
No,
or is that the sixth? Okay,
he's
Tom Baker.
He's my favorite underrated doctor because he's an asshole.
Which one is the one with the flamboyant hair and the great scarf?
That's 4.
Tom Baker.
That's 4.
He's very popular, and I like Tom Baker because he's kind of like a droll asshole as well. But like, Colin Baker only got 2 years worth because he was really unpopular because he was a dick. But I like him because he was a dick. Yeah. Because all the doctors now are always like,
yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, doctor, you're so wonderful. But Colin Baker's a fucking asshole, and I like it.
I'm very interested in seeing what Capaldi does.
I hope he's an asshole.
I mean,
I'd love to have another asshole doctor.
So they're on to the next doctor?
They are.
Yes.
They regenerate on Christmas. Yeah.
Yep.
The 25th. And we have to wait until...
I actually saw that special. The Day of the Doctor.
Day of the Doctor?
Yeah, they released it in movies here. Theaters here.
Yeah. Oh, here?
Yeah, not here technically. I saw it in Atlanta, but...
They, because, Doc 10 wouldn't come back. No, Doc 9 wouldn't come back.
Eccleston.
Yeah,
Eccleston wouldn't come back.
I actually think Eccleston's pretty good. He's kind of like in between jerk, because he's not like, oh, Doctor.
I really like
He's the renegade doctor.
They had 3. They needed to have 3 doctors, so what they did was they said, oh, well, actually Doc 9 was Doc 10. Yes. There was one in between the 2 shows, and that was John Hurt.
Yep.
I like John Hurt a lot, because he was also like wise and kind of an asshole.
He's 8.5?
Yes.
And now officially 9, right?
What?
Yes.
He's the movie.
John Hurt?
Yeah.
Yes. He will always
9.
be 8.5 in terms of numbering, because Smith called himself the 11.
Right.
But he is technically the 9.
And he might say he's the 11th Doctor because technically John Hurt wasn't a doctor because he didn't call himself the Doctor or some dumb shit that they had to explain. But
he was just the protagonist of a Doctor Who film.
Basically.
Well, actually, because the Day of the Doctor actually kind of goes back and addresses that.
Well, because Gallifrey is... They have an avenue to bring the Time Lords back now.
And that's what the point of Day of the Doctor was.
Right.
That the idea is that Gallifrey is out there somewhere.
And then it had random old Tom Baker in it.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
I didn't get that.
Did you see the special?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get it. I didn't get who Tom Baker was supposed to be because he's like old Tom Baker.
Well, he's supposed to be the Doctor still.
Yeah,
but how does that make sense? He's dead. He's been dead for like fucking 30 years.
Well,
time! I don't know.
Well, right, but...
How did he get old?
He's retired.
And, with Matt Smith or whatever, I guess they had him regenerate, like there was a set timeline in which he regenerated.
Right, and it would make sense if it was just like Tom Baker, like randomly, like, you know, because they start slipping up the time, but he's like ancient.
Yeah.
What, like he was never that old.
And he actually says that he's been retired, which means this is post him being the Doctor.
I like to think he's just Tom Baker.
He's just Tom Baker.
But the Doctor recognizes him.
Well, yeah, because he was like, "Oh, you played the Doctor on TV."
You played the Doctor.
He's like, "Hey, it's Tom Baker."
I think it was just a way to shoehorn
Tom Baker in. Yeah.
However, it would be interesting if they were to go back and be like, "Oh, somehow I don't know how it's Doctor Who, they could come up with something." Be like, we can pull individual regenerations out of this character or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, see, here is my theory about Day of the Doctor. Because is John Hurt the old war doctor in that? Okay. My theory, okay, you know how you see him go and regenerate?
Into Eccleston.
Yes.
Yes.
He regenerates that.
But he doesn't regenerate the same way he did before, which is when he actually regenerated into Eccleston. So...
Oh, you mean... Okay, yeah.
So this...
Like, well... They don't ever show Eccleston's regeneration.
No, they never have.
In the 2005.
But you technically at the end of the movie things is when he starts regenerating.
Right.
And then he came out as Eccleston.
Right. Yeah.
But that was a set timeline. So let's just say time stuff here. So they've since gone back and readjusted
stuff.
Let's just call it time stuff.
They've readjusted the thing now where, and I know that Matt Smith did Matt Smith actually regenerate?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
They gave him a new set. Like, have you seen the Christmas special?
I've not. The most recent thing I've seen is Day of the Doctor.
Well, you care about spoilers?
No, go ahead, because I haven't seen it. I want to know.
I didn't figure you cared. But
Jesse always never to care.
Never.
The Doctor, like, the whole premise of the episode is that Matt Smith is guarding the crack in time, which is supposedly now a door to Gallifrey, which I didn't really understand why.
I didn't understand.
The crack at the beginning of his.
I presume well, I don't think it was it the same crack from before, or was it caused after the second Big Bang?
It might have been a different crack. However, it is it might have been a different crack in theory, but it's the exact same.
Because
it looks exactly
what had happened was when the second Big Bang occurred at the end of Matt Smith's first season, they patched it all back together, but there is a weak point there in that town Transalore. And so the Time Lords are trying to get back into this reality, and that's the weakest point in the fabric of reality.
Yeah.
So that's where the crack is. So they're saying Doctor Who into it, which if they ever use that in context of the show again, I'm going to punch someone in the face. Stephen Moffat thinks he's real clever by keep having people go, Doctor Who? Like,
yeah.
It's the name of the fucking show. Anyways. So...
It'd be like in Star Trek, they're like seeing the stars outside you. Oh, we're going to Star Trek?
In First Contact, when James Cromwell goes, so you guys are on some kind of Star Trek?
But they only did that once.
Anyway, so there's a crack in time, and it's basically like
a wrinkle in time,
a door to Gallifrey,
if you will.
And Matt Smith's guarding this planet called Christmas.
The town's Christmas on Transalore.
Okay, yeah, the town is Christmas on Transalore,
and you can't lie in Christmas.
Yeah, there's a truth field around it.
Why? I didn't understand that.
It
Doctor
had something
Who.
to do with the question. Yeah, with the Time Lords were supposedly using a truth field to make sure that they got the right answer to the question.
Okay, yeah. A lot of I did like the episode. A lot of it I didn't understand though.
Yeah,
so.
They did a lot of interesting little things. Like we found out where the silence are from and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Which I thought was cool. But anyway, so through the crack in time, Jenna Louise Coleman, whatever her character's name is, I don't remember.
Oswald.
Clara Oswald or whatever. She tells the crack something, an answer to this question.
I'm just thinking her just a butt crack. Just whispering things into an ass crack. So thanks for that.
You're welcome.
She tells the crack.
She tells the crack, that, you don't
speak to
that
the
he's,
crack.
that, there's just some little speech about how Matt Smith's character or whatever has always been the Doctor. You don't need to know what his name is or
he's just
whatever.
It's another one of those things that I don't particularly care about. What my least favorite thing about New Who, as I call it. It's another one of those things the Doctor is so great. Oh, he's so fucking amazing, and then because this is technically his last regeneration.
Yeah.
Because
he's 13 or whatever.
Yeah, because John Hurt got added in, and then at some point, David Tennant regenerated into a hand, his hand that had been cut off, which then grew into another David Tennant.
That is sent to the universe with Rose Tyler.
As Rose Tyler's personal sex slave.
Yeah. So basically, the Time Lords send another set of regenerations through the crack in time
to
the Doctor.
How do they do that?
Okay.
They don't.
I thought it was pretty dark. I thought maybe they all killed themselves.
Maybe.
But before this episode came out, my theory was the David Hurt was going to turn into Peter Capaldi. And that's how they're going to readjust the amount of regenerations he gets. I thought that would have been interesting.
Oh.
And then all this takes place before.
Well, no, because of time, he can be anywhere in time. There's two generations of John Hurt. One turned into Eccleston, and then did the whole loop back around to John Hurt again.
You should be a Doctor Who writer.
I should.
You should just make this more.
This is some great fanfic right here.
Two John Hurt. Because it's two John Hurt.
Well, there's only
John Hurt and there's David Hurt.
I'm right about your time stuff.
Hey, look, I'm just saying. This was before this.
Wibbly wobbly.
I actually hate that quote with a passion.
What timey-wimey?
Timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly.
Wibbly-wobbly.
Because that's... everybody's like, oh, Doctor Who. Oh, yeah, timey-wimey. It's like, fuck you.
You know exactly what you're talking about.
And then the second one is bow ties are cool, and I hate that as well.
I like bow ties are cool.
I do too.
I'm gonna admit to it. I like bow ties are cool.
Yep.
I like fezzes are cool.
For a reason. Yeah, I mean, like...
Fez is alright.
Well, I mean, to enjoy fezzes are cool, you have to... It's a throwback.
It is.
So you have to like the first one to like fezzes.
My thing about it was that, like...
building on the foundation.
Matt Smith was trying to differentiate his character from 10 Ounce, and that was one of the ways he did it, and I did appreciate it.
What I liked is that when he actually regenerated, because this was an interesting episode because he actually aged. Like, he was there for like 700 years guarding the butt crack in time.
Yep.
And so, like, at the end of it, Matt Smith is like in ancient old man makeup.
Very old.
But then when they send him to new regenerations, he turns into regular Matt Smith to then die or something.
Yes.
And in quite a tender moment, before he regenerates, he takes off the bow tie and throws it on the floor and then regenerates. Like, that's his thing.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like...
Don't mess with the bow tie,
maybe I was looking too much into it, but to me it was sort of like, that's Matt Smith's thing.
Well, in my
Let's
opinion...
move on. Like
the
so Peter
regeneration moments are always, like,
yeah.
a throw to the fandom in a lot of ways. Like, obviously they mean something to people who just watch the show, but... for people who are familiar with what's going on behind the scenes or whatever, I feel like it's more...
Yeah. And we regenerated Peter Capaldi didn't have the bow tie on. Like, that was kind of Matt Smith's thing. So
I need to see that. That's...
it's actually a pretty good regeneration story, I think.
They also... Yeah, they made...
Nonsensical stuff notwithstanding.
Is he finally a ginger?
No.
Oh.
Now he's an
Still
old
not
guy.
Now he's an old guy.
Well, they made a lot of references to the idea that, like, Capaldi's Doctor is probably going to be a lot more like the first Doctor. And that, like, the regeneration this time... I thought it was... something I thought was very interesting is that the regeneration this time was not violent at all.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, especially from 10 to 11, it's just, like, ridiculously violent. Like...
Well, he did blow up a fucking spaceship with his regeneration, technically. Matt Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Like...
Yeah, but
it was pretty rocking. Because there was like a Dalek ship, and he just and then the fucking Dalek ship with the gold ring explodes.
I mean, I thought that was more of like the regeneration energy as opposed to the regeneration itself, and the fact that he does get back to the TARDIS before he regenerates, and that the regeneration between Smith and Capaldi is just like
right. Because like Tennant's like blows the fucking TARDIS up and shit.
Whereas Capaldi is just like. Turns around or whatever, you know.
On account of the fucking radiation.
But he didn't want to go.
No, he didn't. And then Matt Smith's quote was, "I will always remember the time I was the Doctor."
Yeah, it's pretty heartbreaking, dude. I like pretty ham-handed throwback at the end of the day where he's like where Tennant is about to go back in the TARDIS, and I forget what the context was, and he's like. He turns to Matt Smith and he goes, I don't want to go. And then he opens the door and gets it.
I was just like...
Okay. That was a thing he said once, I guess. Whatever. I was like, oh, that's the thing he said.
Which was that in?
That was Day of the Doctor.
Oh, that was the last thing Matt Smith says again.
No, the last thing that
was what Tennant said before.
Or Tennant said, not Matt Smith.
Yeah, it does
Very
that.
Confusing. I liked it though. I'm looking forward to Capaldi. Like I said, I want a more crotchety old man Doctor, someone I can relate to.
I am hoping that with the way they did the Time of the Doctor or whatever, they will bring back Gallifrey and maybe the Master. I think the Master's
they don't.
Gallifrey is the home of the Time Lords.
Okay.
It's the planet of the Time Lords, and it's been implied, not just implied, many a time that it got destroyed. during the Time War.
This is straight up.
But it's not, so it's just...
They brought it back in Day of the Doctor. Well, they gave them an avenue to bring it back if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Because they got in between the old show and the new show, there was a time war between the Daleks and the Time Lords. Gallifrey got destroyed because apparently John Hurt pressed a button on something and killed everyone.
Pressed a button.
He got a weapon of mass destruction or whatever, and apparently all of the Daleks in the entire universe were converging on Gallifrey, and so he was gonna press the button to blow up Gallifrey, which would kill all the Time Lords, but also all the Daleks. And
He wasn't gonna blow it up though.
I think he was.
Yeah, that was... Well, if he wasn't going to blow it up, he was going to eradicate all life on it.
Yes, that's what I thought it was. I didn't think it was like an explosive. I thought it was...
It was some... I mean, they didn't really explain what the weapon itself was.
Right.
Other than it was probably time-related.
And it had an interface that looked like Billy Piper for some reason.
It did.
Yeah.
Well, it used a memory that he would recognize. Yeah, I don't know.
That's from the future. To ham fist some more fucking actors into it. Like,
that didn't make any sense to me.
I remember when I was like, what? I don't...
I thought it was funny that she was like, this is a face that should be familiar to you, or maybe you haven't seen it yet. I was like...
How does that make sense?
Yeah.
The show.
But I was thinking...
So Sean should be a writer for it.
I already am.
Two John Hurts, dude.
But think about it. Before having seen that episode...
Sean's sitting at the table and just like, okay... Two John Hurt. 50 months. Brilliant!
Why is my genius not recognized? Right?
You need to write that episode now. You need to write that to him.
It's already too late.
Two John Hurts.
John Hurts.
Okay, it's not two, it's one.
There's only one John Hurt?
Yes.
I thought you said there were two John Hurts.
No, I said there's two regenerations of John Hurt.
David Hurt, yeah.
Okay, so
there's two regenerations of John Hurt.
So he regenerates into the same person as in one of his regenerations?
He regenerates.
He regenerates into two different people.
How does that work?
Because, okay, he officially regenerated into Christopher Eggleston.
Right.
And then it goes all the way down to Matt Smith, and then it comes back around with Day of the Doctor, where Matt Smith helps him change time, but that wouldn't happen.
So you're saying that that his first regeneration happens after he blows up Gallifrey, quote unquote blows up, and that the second, and that he would regenerate differently if he had not.
Right.
So
it's two different. Yes.
There's an alternate timeline where he regenerates for some reason into Peter Capaldi because he didn't blow up the world.
Right.
Because it's saying
think about it.
It's saying what the actions of the Doctor have some sort of influence on what or who he regenerates into or whatever.
I guess that is technically two John Hurt. It's just in two different universes.
Right, so we had one John Hurt before, right? Okay, I'm following you. Two John.
Brilliant.
Give this man an Emmy. Two John Hurts, my God. It's so simple.
And it would give him some more. It would give him more regenerations. It's much more simpler than the way they went about it.
It's true.
I don't think it's more. I think it's quite a bit more complicated. It's sort of like, okay, now here's the alternate, and then like does Matt Smith have to die right there? Like, do we go back to Peter Capaldi?
Here's the other reason why
was Matt Smith Peter Capaldi, and then Peter Capaldi regenerated?
Well, okay, think about this.
How does that work?
How did Peter Capaldi?
Capaldi.
How did the Peter Doctor?
The Peter Doctor.
How did the Peter Doctor?
The Peter Doctor.
How did he help?
Works exclusively on Peters.
Yeah. How did he help?
Good friends with
How did he help them not destroy Gallifrey? Because he was there when they made Gallifrey just disappear instead of blow him up.
He's from the future, dude.
Yeah.
But you see, this doesn't make sense unless it follows my timeline.
No, it doesn't. It makes sense because all the other doctors from all the other times are there.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make sense because Matt Smith hasn't regenerated yet.
Right, but it's fucking time and shit. Because they have like a time travel device of some kind that they use on the show.
The called the TARDIS.
Called the TARDIS.
So the way
concept.
The way it worked.
But it also traverses universes.
Yes, it does. It's time and relative dimension in space.
Yes.
But anyway, no. The reason that he's there is because
to show his hand and get all the fans rallying.
The Doctor's timeline is
that's what they did.
Is a line, but it's not a straight line. Because he's a time traveler.
It's wibbly and wobbly, as we all know.
Yeah.
Wibbly and wobbly.
Thank you.
Yes, we all fucking
know. Apparently, all of the Doctor's timelines or whatever converge on Gallifrey, or around Gallifrey at that point. So because he's a time traveler, it's irrelevant that Matt Smith has
so the other Doctor should have been there too.
They were,
dude.
No, the ones past Peter Capaldi that will exist in the future.
Well, they could have been.
I mean, they were there.
But
you just
count
didn't see because they haven't casted them yet.
Yeah, but count
It'd be quite a bit of foresight to have casted.
Count
5 in the future.
Count the TARDISes though. There's only 12 or 13,
but
whatever.
Not all of the Doctors had to be there. There only had to be 12 Doctors, apparently, for whatever reason.
See, this is why it doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, it's Doctor Who. If it made sense,
this is why it doesn't make sense.
Not
especially considering there's a half a Doctor in there.
The Peter Doctor.
Oh, that's true.
The Peter Doctor.
Let's see. The Tenant. So the Tenant that saves Gallifrey or whatever isn't actually the Doctor.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean,
no, he is.
Technically the Doctor.
I thought that was how they were going to bring Tennant back. I thought they were going to bring that one from the alternate dimension.
Yeah. Yeah, but they didn't do that.
But they didn't do that. Instead, they made it complicated. So, because I was like, that would be an easy way to do it if they wanted to, but of course they didn't do that because
and that would have explained why.
There's 12 Seans on the writing staff.
12 so there's about to be a 13th one. He's regenerating.
He's regenerating into another Sean. They reproduce
all of the Seans.
2 Seans on the right.
They reproduce by budding. Like they just sit there and like another Sean pops off and just starts writing Doctor
Who. Well, no. We all of our timelines converge around the writing of Doctor Who.
There you go.
That makes sense. So. I like you just regenerate into another Sean. Like just the exact same Sean again. Like just the gold.
No need to cast. No need to cast another one when you've already perfectly cast him.
Die in a horrible explosion, just come back out as Sean.
This is golden light is Sean.
Nintendo is cool.
That's what you say in 5 seconds. Just like establish your character. And then you're just Sean again. We never mention it. It'd be pretty sweet. What I never got is why doesn't he regenerate into a baby? Why is he just like a man of varying ages? Yeah. Because, like, why is Peter Capaldi, like, older?
Well, see, that's why it doesn't make a lot of sense, because they do grow up, technically, before they start regenerating, right?
Yeah, they do. There are scenes in the, like, 3rd or 4th finale where they show the Doctor and the Master's kids on Gallifrey.
Right, so, like, William Hartnell was born William Hartnell and then was a child, and then grew up into old man William Hartnell, and then turned into Patrick Troughton for some reason.
Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. They needed a convenient plot device to can't change actors.
Yeah.
That's exactly why. Because the Doctor was a human.
Right.
When it started, so.
Yeah, it was. I like to just assume that James Bond is a Time Lord as well.
Oh, yeah. Timothy Dalton.
This is Timothy.
Yeah,
see, Timothy Dalton was in one of those episodes.
He was in Day of the Doctor as the head guy. Yeah, I can't remember that guy's name.
There's like there's comparisons to be made.
Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton was a very underrated Bond.
He actually was. He was really good.
Yeah.
Although one of them was racist. So.
Which one was racist?
The one where it has the backwoods cop. And
no, dude, that's still Connery.
Live and Let Die. No. That's
Who is that? It's one of the.
Roger Moore.
Oh,
that's the first Roger Moore one. That's it. That one's pretty racist.
Because that's in Louisiana or whatever, right?
Yeah. That's got voodoo shit in it and stuff. Yeah. That one does have that's the only black villain we've ever had.
The only black villain ever.
In any movie.
In any movie ever made.
Well, I mean...
It's crazy.
This makes some logistical sense, though, because Bond is set in Europe. I mean, while there are, but it's like not necessarily. I mean, I guess technically.
There's just none running any evil corporations in here.
They're all nice. They're all nice.
It's not set in Africa, KJ. No, but yeah, that guy he has like a